So now I go down to my story about Pastor Larry.
Oh, wow. All right, there's a story about Pastor Larry in here. Okay.
Yep, the story about
All
Pastor
right.
Larry. Several weeks ago, and it may even be a month from now that he spoke about this, but he was talking to us about go out into your neighborhood and say hi to those people. Say hi to your neighbors. Ask them how they're doing. And then maybe even have them over. Maybe having a discussion group at your house. So I really took that to heart as something that we need to start thinking about. And I look at my neighbors, and I go out in the front yard, and we live in a subdivision, so we've got neighbors close, across the street, to our right, to our left, and behind us. Some of you live on acreage, so your neighbor's going to be several miles away, maybe even, or several acres away. Or if we live in an apartment, it could be the person right next door in your apartment or condo. So we each have different ways of looking at this, our neighborhood. But if you were to invite your neighbors over to your house for a little discussion, what could you talk about? Well, if you're like us, we don't know our neighbors very well. As I think Ken and I have often thought it's the big fences in this area, that we have such tall fences we don't get to see each other in the backyard. We only see each other if we're in the front yard. So we don't know our neighbors real well, but we have said hi to all of them and waved at them, and a couple of them exchanged our phone numbers in case of an emergency with our house or their house. But if you were to invite them over, you might not know them real well. So I thought, okay, here's some easy starters. If you want to do this and have some discussion with your neighbors, an easy discussion would be, so what has changed in your life since last March? What's been going on? Okay, they'll talk about it and tell about their changes. And then so you could say, okay, well, do you go to church? Do you have a church or a small group you go to for biblical studies? Whatever that comes up with, then you can talk about, well, what do you think about the changes that have happened in church since March? We've gone online. There's a little neighborhood church not far from our house where they've been having outdoor services. And I see the chairs lined up, ready to go. And then until it got cold, they now are, I don't know what their plan is, but it was outdoor for most of the September, October, early November. How have you gone to church? Do you go to church? So those are kind of, get them thinking, get them talking about it. And then I thought, okay, you could ask them, have you ever been in a group where they had worship, or they had a Bible teaching, or maybe they did communion, or they brought a meal, and you ate together? Have you ever been in that? What would that be like? Well, it's like the Acts 2 churches. In their homes, in their gardens, out in patio areas, people coming together and worshiping as well as fellowship and learning. So I say that to say that's one of the things Pastor Larry and Pastor Randy are really working on and teaching us about is a church group. Some people call it a house church. But bringing people together in that small group and actually doing some of these things that I had mentioned, a Bible study, a meal, worship. That's what that's all about, and that's like an Acts 2 church. And when they were together in the Acts 2 churches, they had harmony, they had interpersonal relationships, they did things for each other. Well, another aspect of that church house or that church group would be an outside activity, something for your community. Do something together for your community. Collect offering in your small group where you could then do some things for the community. So I just wanted to share that with you again and reemphasize what Pastor Larry kind of gave us that charge 3 or 4 weeks ago. Go out there and meet the neighbors and do something with that.